everyone, Will again from the Anastasia Island branch, and we're here for another edition of Quirky History. This one was suggested as well in the comments from the last video, so please, 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 if you have any ideas for an atypical history, something that's quirky, please comment below, and I always have fun building these for y'all. So today, we are going over the history of roller coasters. I personally love roller coasters, so this was fun for me. I know not everyone does, and that's okay. One of the most surprising things about roller coasters is they're a lot older than I thought they were going to be. So I'm curious, before we get started, don't cheat, don't fast forward this video, don't go look on the internet. How old do you think roller coasters are? If you have any guesses, comment below. It's okay if you don't know. I didn't know either. I'm just curious to see what everyone thinks how old they are. So let's get started. You're probably asking yourself, what do Russian mountains have to do with roller coasters? Well, that was the first name for roller coasters. They originated in Russia. They were wooden platforms that had snow and ice placed upon them, and they would use a sled or a wooden cart to send people down the mountain. These mountains were 70 to 80 feet tall. I have no idea how they stopped. I could not find that information out. I don't think I would ride one of these, but they were popular among the Imperial Russians, and they date from the 18th century, which is the 1700s, and you could only find them in palatial grounds like near St. Petersburg. It sounds like they had a lot of fun doing it, and they actually took that idea to other places in Europe. This picture here is one of the Russian mountains that's actually in Paris, or was in Paris. They're originally for upper classes only. I mean, if you have to erect them, they cost money, and the only people who had the money to do that were the upper classes. So Paris erected theirs in 1817. Louis XVII, I believe, attended or had one built. There's no record of him actually riding it. And you had these pop around areas in France, Paris especially. However, in 1845, Copenhagen did something different. They actually erected one that was intended for middling classes. And when they built them for middling classes, they intended them to be permanent structures. So these parks for middle classes, you in a way could consider the first theme parks because they weren't designed to be taken down and re-erected later. They didn't use snow and ice for their mountains, or at least not real snow and ice. So fast forward a little bit, you get to Scenic Railways. So here in the US, a mining company in the 1850s in Pennsylvania built this 8.7-mile track to take coal from the mine to a local town. But by 1872, they were selling tickets to ride this gravity road to thrill seekers. It sounded like the coal mines started producing less, and so to get a different revenue source, they allowed people to ride the carts. You see different scenic railways popping up in the US in the late 19th century. Places like Coney Island and Sea Lion Park started constructing their own coasters. These were all wooden. There's no steel coasters yet. A lot of these early coasters in Coney Island and stuff like that were extremely dangerous. Many riders got whiplash to the point they had to be taken down. However, there are some pretty old coasters still left. The oldest roller coaster is in Pennsylvania. It was built in 1902. It's still in use. But not every day. The oldest continually used roller coaster is actually in Australia. And there's a picture of it right here. It was built in 1912, and it runs daily, as is my understanding. So coasters start as wooden coasters. Pretty simple, basic. You can basically just, go like this. Your turns can only be so steep, regardless of how the cart is actually holding onto the rail. Most wooden carts move to a friction system, which they kind of grip the wheels, grip the rails, and most of them had a braking mechanism of sorts. Some older coasters actually had a person who had to ride with them to physically brake the cart. But in 1959, Disneyland decided they were going to do something different, and they debuted the Matterhorn bobsleds, and this is the first coaster to use a tubular steel track, which means they can bend the track in any direction, which for those of you who hate roller coasters, this is why you hate roller coasters. It allows for loops, twists, corkscrews, all kinds of inversions. This is the standard track you see on most roller coasters today. So you have this golden age of roller coasters in the late 19th century through the early 20th century, but then the Great Depression happens. And so you lose a lot of the demand. And for obvious reasons, companies don't have the money to build them. People don't have expendable cash to go to things like theme parks. They just weren't being built. Even though Disneyland built this roller coaster in '59, you still don't see this like resurgence at theme parks until 1972. A man named John C. Allen starts designing roller coasters, and they're popular. And so he helps kind of reignite this demand for them. And people, again, have disposable income that they want to then go to these theme parks for. 1975, you have your first modern day coaster called the Corkscrew in California. And this is the one, it does a corkscrew. It has a loop, I think. It's basic in the sense that if you look at some of the coasters that are debuted today, they doesn't have as many twists and turns and flips and loops and all the other fancy stuff they add into them now. But it did start that progress. So over time, designers have added more loops, inversions, and twists. And for those of you who hate roller coasters and get nauseous, you really hate me talking about this right now. That's okay. You can appreciate them from afar and never go on them. I have plenty of friends who refuse to set foot on these modern day roller coasters, and I get it. So this is how you have things like these kinds of coasters. Living here in Florida, we have Universal Parks, Islands of Adventure have all kinds of coasters. Even Universal Main Park has it. Disney has them at even Animal Planet. Pretty much a theme park today has a roller coaster in it of some sort for those thrill seekers who enjoy these rides. So this was a very, very fun history to put together. We could go in a lot more detail on the different carts, just the introduction of a bobsled type cart, which are most of the carts you see today. Having carts that are having a single track as opposed to two tracks, having ones that actually hang from a track as opposed to sit on top of them. Like, there are so many different ways you can go with roller coasters, and I pared this down to the simplest I could think of. Again, if you have any sort of topics that you would like to see, please comment below. Give us those thumbs up on our videos. We really appreciate you watching with us, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.